Hello friends, my name is Ramasu. Today we shall discuss about a topic, the lesson learned in project management. Friend, today's topic is very interesting and important, especially if you have interest in project management or you are planning to give exam of PMP in near future. So let's start. First of all, I would request to please subscribe to my YouTube channel and click on the bell option as well so that my new videos can reach to you. Friend, most project managers understand the importance of lesson learned on current and future projects. Capturing and regularly updating the lesson learned can keep the project on track. In the long run, it can also help continually improve how organizations execute the projects. Lesson learned is the knowledge gained from the process of conducting a project. This includes the positives and negatives. The idea is to repeat the positives aspects and not repeat the mistakes. The Project Management Institute (PMI), a guide to the project management body of knowledge (PMBOK guide), defines this process as a set of interrelated actions and activities performed to achieve a specified set of products, results, or services. The lessons learned process involves 5 steps with activities that will capture and use lessons learned. The steps are identify identify the comments and recommendations that can be learned. These can be a valuable knowledge asset for future projects. Document. Note the detailed lesson learned during discussions in a report that all participants can respond to. Distribute this report to the entire project team and retain it for future reference. Analyze. Analyze and organize the lessons learned so that they can be applied and shared with other teams. They can improve the project management or be used in training sessions. Store. Retain the lessons learned reports on a shared drive or in a cloud solution that make them available to all project teams. Retrieve. When storing the lessons learned reports, set up a keyword search capability to make them easily retrievable at any time during and after the project. Now, how to document the lesson learned? Without a formalized documentation process, it's hard to keep track of any lesson learned to make adjustments and improvements. Develop an ongoing documentation process right from the kickoff meeting, documenting lessons learned along the whole life cycle of the project, particularly with big projects, will prevent people forgetting the lessons learned along the way. To identify issues, carry out regular surveys during the project. You can use these surveys in quick meetings to discuss, analyze, and document the lessons learned. Now, how to write the lesson learned? With all the details of the lessons learned gathered and documented, you might need to edit them before adding them to the shared drive. You can create a lessons list which clearly summarizes the lesson learned in just a few sentences. The summaries note the lessons learned, why it was relevant, and how it should be applied to future projects. In the shared drive or wiki, the lessons should have searchable keywords attached like testing or requirements, for example. That's why project teams can search for those terms when they become relevant and always have the lessons learned available to them. You should also produce a detailed report to team members and other stakeholders involved in the project. The type of report will depend on the audience, and some lessons may have restricted access due to the nature of the information. Overview of the lesson learned report. The detailed report should include the information gathered in the lessons learned sessions and additional input and recommendations from participants, whether they attend or not. The report should be distributed to all participants who get to respond. After that, it's finalized and the project team receives a copy. Summary. A one-page brief summarizing the findings and providing recommendations. Executive report. An overview of the lessons learned together with a summary of what went well, what went wrong, and how to improve. The detailed report can also be attached, but the executive report itself shouldn't exceed 3 pages. Findings. A summary of any issues found during the review process. recommendations, actions needed to correct or improve the findings. Any approved actions need to be documented and then tracked to completion. Presenting lesson learned. The project manager present either the detailed report or the executive report depending on the audience. The successes of the project can be shared via newsletters, white papers, presentations, and other forms of communication. Data that's specific to the project can go into matrix reports. It's important to include the positive and the negative, or the matrix will be meaningless. They are good at indicating how the project's maturing and can identify trends or key events. A good rule for matrix report is to use is KISMII. Keep it simple, make it interesting. One way to present lessons learned is via wiki, which is easy to create. The advantage of wiki is that any team member or stakeholder can update the lesson learned with new information as the project progresses. You can add other documentation such as minutes from status update meetings or lessons learned review meetings. The wiki is shareable across the cloud and is a historical database of lessons learned from the project, which can be used and applied to future projects actually. Then friend, the applying lessons. Generally, it's the project manager who conducts review sessions and presents lesson learned. There are three process groups involved: analyze, store, and retrieve. Analyze. After lessons learned data has been gathered, conduct a root cause analysis for each lessons to better understand what to improve. Store. Documented lesson learned should be stored in a database such as a shared drive within a cloud-based solution or via wiki. Retrieve. This is where keyword search capabilities become useful. It makes the lessons easily retrievable for project teams to review or for adding new information. It's also useful for future projects and kickoff meetings. Once the lesson learned are identified and documented, the organization should release the necessary resources to apply them. These can include changing a process or rescheduling supplies. In the long run, the organization can use the lessons learned to develop a culture of ongoing improvements. Then, friend, the what is the purpose of lesson learned? Friend, the purpose of documenting and applying the lesson learned is to encourage the improvement in best practices for future projects. The goal is to create a team that learns from its missteps and repeats and improve its success. Uh, like a successful project manager recognizes the process that help and hinder a team. They can also implement the lessons they have learned to improve those process continually. So this is basically the objective or the goal purpose of the lesson learned. So friend, thank you. Thanks a lot for watching the video. I hope you like this video. If you like it, please share it with your friends and colleagues. And thanks a lot for watching the video. Thank you, friends.